This is Talking Tactics Daily. My name's Daniel Tiluk. Remember to follow the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, the actual podcast. See, for me, this isn't really a podcast. This is just a YouTube show that we're trying to do. The actual podcast is on Spotify, Apple Music, Pocket Cast, Acast, wherever you listen to podcasts. That's me, Half Hope, and Carl Anka. So all the links are in the description to the actual show. This is just a side piece. There were two big matches today, and then we have AFCON quarterfinals to get through. I'm going to try to run through this as fast as I can. We're not going to spend too much time today. I'm just tired. So, Real Madrid 2, Atletico 1. This was a revenge game. The last time Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid played, it was a 5-2 smackdown, beatdown of Real Madrid by Atletico Madrid. You don't often see that in this particular rivalry or derby, let's call it. And Real Madrid needed a quick start in order to prove that, this wasn't going to be the same game that it was last time. And I think within the first 2 minutes, I think in the second minute, Valverde scores an amazing free kick, hits the ball that in a way that very few people can. He's one of the best ball strikers in Europe, one of the best ball strikers in the world, considering he plays for Uruguay as well. And yeah, it was a very good opening couple minutes for Real Madrid to even win the free kick, and then how Valverde finishes it. I mean, if you're a Madrid guy, I would think Valverde is like the archetype of player that you want in your team. I remember Jose Mourinho had a quote about Cesar Azpilicueta, which was like, if 11 Azpilicuetas win the Champions League, and that's definitely something that applies to someone like Valverde, where you ask him to play anywhere, he's capable of doing it, other than maybe goal and striker. Everywhere else he can play. And the one thing that he has that nobody else has, other than his engine and his just simple ability to run and run loads, is the ball striking. It's Gerrard-esque. It's just the ball comes off of his foot differently in that way. And there was no way Oblak was getting that free kick. So a very, very, very good opening for Real Madrid, but they didn't start as they mean to go on in that sense. They scored, but then it was just kind of a malaise of a similar Real Madrid story that we've seen all season. Of course, there were some few chances here and there, but I feel like most of the best chances in the first half were Atletico Madrid's. Like, I think Courtois was doing more work really than Oblak, if I'm remembering the first half correctly. In any event, it goes to the second half. Real Madrid hang on to their 1-0 lead, and Valverde again. This time, it's vision, weight of pass to see Rodrygo making a run, a diagonal run across Atletico Madrid's back line. And the pass finds him, Rodrygo, who's actually having a really good purple patch. I don't know if this is form that's going to sustain him into the World Cup, but this we'll get to Vini in a second. Because I'm in my mind, why can't both of you play well at the same time? The last time they both played well at the same time, Real Madrid won a Champions League with Jude Bellingham behind them. But in any event, the last few games, Rodrygo has shown up, scored goals, and you need someone to step up. In the game before, were they playing Betis, where Gonzalo Garcia scores a hat trick. Today, it was Rodrygo that popped up with the goal, but really it was the Valverde game. You need this when Kylian Mbappe is gone. I mean, he's your best player, and he's the one who's scoring the bulk of your goals. You need someone. And that's the thing about Real Madrid, is that they have players that you could theorize in any game. Somebody's going to come up with something, whether it's Vinicius, whether it's Rodrygo, whether it's Bellingham, whether it's Valverde, Arda Güler. Somebody can do something. And it's just about who on the day is the guy, rather than knowing for sure it's going to be Kylian Mbappe. So it's nice to think that Rodrygo was finding some sort of form, but it's dangerous because the moment Rodrygo finds form, he suddenly thinks he's the best left winger in the world. Then he's questioning, why am I not playing in my actual position? Do I even want to stay at Real Madrid? What is the point of me being here? And then if anyone's being sacrificed, It's not going to be Vini. It's not going to be Mbappe. It's not going to be Bellingham. So he's the easy person to put on the bench. So you wonder, come the summer, how many more seasons of, this version does Rodrygo want to be? Did I even say that correctly? How many more times does Rodrygo want to be this version of himself? He's not getting any younger. I want to look at how old is Rodrygo? He strikes me as somebody who's like 24. Rodrygo, Brazilian footballer. Google says 24, but he turns 25 tomorrow. His birthday's tomorrow. So he's 25. So the next contract is the last big one, unless he's going to be one of these, like, I don't know, Benzema, Lewandowski type players, Ronaldo, Messi, Modric, these people who just play into the like 40. But he's not of that ilk. He's not of that class. He's like a level or two below those guys. So you probably have one big contract left. Do you really want to spend the next 5 years, 6 seasons playing second fiddle to whoever Real Madrid thinks is better than you? Probably not. Which I don't know where he goes from here. Maybe he'd try out the Premier League. Maybe Manchester United. Maybe it depends on what Manchester United have going on. Where can I see Rodrygo? I could see him at Liverpool. I could see him at Chelsea. I could see him at Arsenal. I could see him any team. Rodrygo's good enough. His technical foundation is good enough. His ability to pop up with goals is good enough. Manchester City is so obvious, isn't it? Although they're going for Simeone, I think that should be official within the next 24 hours if it already isn't. But yeah, you could see him at any top team. It's just at Real Madrid, the way the cookie has crumbled. He's largely the odd man out, but he's saving some bacon for Xabi Alonso, who, by the way, Xabi Alonso, what are you doing? So in the, I don't know, it might have been the 65th minute, 70th minute. I've never seen this before. I've never seen a football manager take off both their center backs at the same time. Now, somebody in my comments, because I tweeted it on Blue Sky, and someone told me, well, I'm sure Amorim has done it. This is a Manchester United fan because he plays with 3 center backs. But I was like, okay, if you're playing with 3 center backs, then maybe I could understand how that could happen because you're playing with 3 center backs. But if you're playing a back 4, which normally means 2 center backs, I don't think I've ever seen someone take off both their central defenders together and then replace them with fullbacks. Now, obviously, you have Tchouaméni, who's a bit versatile and can step into center back from central midfield. So he wasn't taking out 2 and putting in 2. He was taking out 1 and then making one of the fullbacks. He was taking out 2, making one of the central midfielders a center back, and then one of the fullbacks was added as a center back. But still, you take out Rudiger and Asensio. I've never seen a manager do that. I think I've seen 2 center backs come out in the same game, whether for injury or what have you, but at the same time, and neither of them is injured. I was thinking, is he trying to send a message to Perez that, hey, like, we need a center back. I'm struggling here, and I only have 2 fit ones or 2 ones that I want to play, so I'm going to bring them off at the same time and send a message. I don't know if he's is he that ballsy? Like, bro, you almost got sacked in December and you're out here sending messages. Or maybe he's trying to save them for the game against Barcelona. But how can you know that you're going to play against Barcelona because you're taking off both of your center backs in a game that's 2-1? I'm confused. I'm just very confused. I don't know what that move was. I caught myself in the camera. I saw the face I was making, and then I just returned the face to myself. Speaking of substitutions, let's talk about the fun one. So Vini is coming off the pitch. The Atletico Madrid fans can't help themselves. The battle between Vini and Atletico Madrid fans at this point is a bit nuts. Always there's a sprinkle of racismo that's always apparent when Vini and Atletico meet. And he's being brought off the pitch. doesn't seem all that happy about it, but he's taking his precious time because Real Madrid are up 2-1. It's a little bit of time wasting. You hear the Atletico Madrid fans primarily whistling him off the pitch. And Diego Simeone, who himself is a pantomime villain, it's like the meeting of like the two worst people that you could ever meet clashing amongst each other. Vini and Simeone, like they're made for each other. Some stories have no good guys, right? And he's like, listen to the crowds. Listen to the crowd. They're booing you off because either the way you play, your attitude, or just you're taking too much time. And Vini, as always, he's not going to hold his tongue. So Simeone gestures to him, and Vini gives it right back. And that's why I love Vini, because he doesn't take any crap. So it starts a little kerfuffle, a little touchline fracas. Shout out to my guys over there. It starts a little something, and it's apropos of the two participants. Diego Simeone is clearly there to play his role. Let's be nice. And Vini is always happy to kind of play foil to whoever it is. And I wonder, I mean, it's not necessarily indicative of this particular incident, but Vini's been linked this week with Chelsea. I need to stop messing with this piece of paper. Just making noise in the mic. Vini has been linked with Chelsea. There's contract situations. The negotiations aren't going too hot. He hasn't scored in something like, don't quote me. I haven't looked at this. I saw it. Maybe it was just someone trolling. He hasn't scored in 19. Is that real? Like, maybe one of the Madrid fans, Tapiwa, somebody in the comments can tell me, like, what's his goal drought? It's been that long since Vinicius has scored. Maybe this is like an open play stat or something, but it seems crazy. So Vini's not playing up to his standard, but he still has the attitude, rightfully so, of I am still one of the best players in the world on my day. And being messed with by Diego Simeone, I can't imagine how mad that would make me if I were Vini. So in any event, the Super Cup is getting exactly what it wants, which is a classical final. You know, you play Real Madrid against Atletico Madrid, so you get a Madrid derby. And then hopefully Barcelona takes care of business against whoever it is, in this case Bilbao, who they beat the brakes off yesterday, 5-0. And now you get Real Madrid versus Barcelona in Saudi Arabia for... For me, I don't much care about this competition, but I know people in Spain do, and fans of Spanish football do. So it is what it is in that instance. Where am I leaning with Real Madrid, Barcelona? I'm leaning towards Barcelona, if I'm honest. But in the same way that Real Madrid, this was a revenge game on Atletico for beating them quite handily in the league. Last season, Real Madrid have a lot of get back that they need to dish out against Barcelona. It was 4 losses last season in a row, 4 or 5. That's something that you can't have. So yes, they won the game in the league this year, but that's just one. So in the last 5, you've won 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5. Not good enough. They have to win this one. It's for a trophy. They lost this competition to Barcelona last season. Similar circumstance. Xabi Alonso, if anything, this will help. If Xabi Alonso is under stress, if he wants more leverage with transfers or whatever it is, the best way to do that is beating Barcelona in the game that they play next. The eyes of the world will be watching. It's the most famous game in the world, El Clasico. So hopefully, for his sake, they can get a result. But Barcelona is never going to be an easy out. And if you get good Vini, if you get good Rodrygo at the same time, maybe they can trouble that Barcelona defense. But the way Barcelona have been playing, I think it's going to be an uphill climb for Real Madrid. Let's move on to the Premier League quite quickly. I mean, you know what? I know this podcast is called Talking Tactics or whatever, but there are people who take that way too far. Hey man, it was a fascinating tactical battle between two teams, and only the real football fans will enjoy this 0-0 game between you name the teams. It was boring. I mean, it was 0-0 can be fun in the sense that like you're always one moment away from somebody doing something that can win the game 1-0, but ultimately Arsenal and Liverpool didn't give us like a classic. I think Arsenal won the first half, but they didn't score. And I think Liverpool won the second half, but they didn't score. So there wasn't that much that I found interesting. Of course, we could talk about Gyökeres and the season that he's having or that he isn't having. You could talk perhaps about Saka. You could talk about the substitutions that Arsenal are able to make where they take off Odegaard and Saka and they bring on Madueke and Eze. The corner at the end where Madueke puts one in and Gabriel could maybe score. There's the kerfuffle that you have, but when Connor Bradley, who I haven't read the report, I haven't looked since, but it looked like it was a pretty bad injury. Like he had his shirt over his head, he was in tears. They had to stretcher him off. This isn't like the AFCON use of a stretcher where any and everybody gets stretchered off or on at AFCON. AFCON loves a stretcher, bro. The Premier League, I think there's more judicious use of the stretcher. So someone getting stretchered off is usually a bad sign that they've done something. It wasn't a contact injury with another person. It was just something that happened in and of himself. But he's injured there on the touchline, and Gabriel Martinelli comes and tries to push him off because he feels like he's time wasting. Then Koundé comes and pushes Martinelli because, bro, like, what are you doing? He even points to his head like, are you crazy? That happened. There was the incident where Frimpong went down in the box, and I think Liverpool wanted a penalty. Arsenal were like, nah, there's no way that's a foul. So then Rice and Virgil van Dijk are arguing with each other. Like the conflict between the two teams was more interesting than, or the personalities in the teams was more interesting than whatever tactical footballing thing was going on. Like the personal relationships were more interesting than the football, which is not what you want in a marquee game of this magnitude. Let's look at the table though, because if you consider that Manchester City have dropped 6 points in their last 3 games by drawing 3 in a row, the table is 49-43. If Manchester City take care of Sunderland, which is reasonable, take care of managerless or head coachless Chelsea, and then beat Brighton at home, they're on top of the table on goal difference. It'd be 49-49 with Manchester City on top. Arsenal are second. And the crisis that would be happening at at the Emirates, I can only imagine. But there's a 6-point cushion now. It looks a bit more respectable, obviously, because Arsenal are still in the 40s, and the other two are also in the 40s. If Arsenal find a way to win the game and it's 51-43, then you can kind of cancel Christmas at that point. But it's still within this manageable window. So I do think Manchester City and Pep Guardiola will be looking at what could have been in these last few games and kind of ruining certainly the 2 drop points against Chelsea where Enzo Fernandez had no business scoring. The injuries that happened kind of caused yesterday's trouble with Matoma and what have you. Sunderland, you can draw with Sunderland, as we said yesterday. But yeah, it's just, I would think they're more upset at this draw than anybody because it just confirms the idea that Arsenal are not some juggernaut team that's never going to struggle, and they can be beaten to the league, but nobody's kind of taking advantage. Nobody's picking up what they're putting down. And that's kind of a credit to Arsenal, but it's also a discredit to the league in the same instance, in the same breath. But there's no shame in drawing to Liverpool. I mean, they're the champions, they're the defending champions of the league. You look at their players, they have match winners in a lot of positions. I thought Frimpong had a good game. Wirtz had a decent game. McAllister looked better. Gakpo was more or less effective. I didn't see any fumbles or dumb boneheaded plays, let's say, from Konate or Van Dijk. Kerkez actually was not bad, to my shock. He had probably one of his better games for Liverpool. So, yeah, Liverpool will take a 0-0. I think they're the only team this season that's held Arsenal goalless. That might be a stat. Certainly, they held them goalless in the first game, didn't they? Because Szoboszlai won that one. I need to look it up. I need to look it up. I'm not going to give you guys bad information. Arsenal, Liverpool. I'm not even going to give myself bad information. Of course, it just gives me the most recent one. It doesn't even give me like. See, now I gotta look this up. Arsenal 2024, 2025. Live research here on Talking Tactics Daily. This is the 25-26 season, Daniel. It's crazy. We're in 2026. Don't know what to make of that. I feel old. All right. Yeah. Okay. Arsenal have been held goalless twice this season, both to Liverpool. The first one was 1-0 where Szoboszlai hits that free kick in the 83rd minute. He tried it a couple times today as well, and one of them was just sliced terribly. On TV, sometimes because it's the angle, it looks like it's closer than it is, but then you actually see from behind the goal camera, and he tried some wicked hit the middle of the ball, and hopefully it dips and bends, and you just got it wrong. The second free kick that he had was actually a little bit more close. It had a chance. I could even see him he was trying to move the ball backwards, which is a bit odd. But when you have that technique of I want to get it over the wall and down quickly, the more space you have relative to, your proximity, maybe moving it back actually helps. But I'm getting lost in the weeds. Whatever Liverpool are doing against Arsenal, I think other teams should study, because clearly it's effective. It's just, do you have the level of quality that Liverpool do? In some areas, yes. In some areas, no. So let's get to the last part of the episode, which is AFCON. So tomorrow we have Mali against Senegal and Cameroon against Morocco. Senegal should beat Mali. Will they beat them? Hard to say, because anything can happen at this point. It's a quarterfinal in a major competition. Anything could happen, but Senegal should win. And I think they'd be very disappointed if they didn't win. For a team like Senegal, semifinals is your minimum. For Mali, quarterfinals does seem like quarters max would feel like what Mali would be capable of doing. So my prediction is 2-0 for Senegal. I could see Mane having a decent game, a good continuation of the season or the competition that he's been having. Jackson has been okay. I think he had a good first game, not a good second game, not a good third game. He had the assist in the last round, so maybe he could get on the goal sheet here. I'm feeling a bit like that. They get Koulibaly back, so that's good. And obviously Mendy's a very decent goalkeeper. They have talent everywhere. For Mali, it's just going to be, can their midfield maybe try to control it? They're going to play probably with 5 midfielders and just put as many bodies in the middle and make Senegal play wide and cross into the strikers. Maybe that's a effective tactic. Maybe it isn't. We'll just have to see. Morocco-Cameroon. I'm having a hard time with this one because Morocco haven't been convincing at all. I mean, without Brahim Diaz and El Kaabi and his bicycle kicks, they haven't really impressed me outside of those two players. I know there's a lot of Morocco fans who aren't really thrilled with Regragui. Walid. They're not happy with Walid. And And after Morocco's success at the Arab Cup, the coach that was coaching there, whose name is also slipping my mind, the Morocco fans want him in. So Morocco are, especially Grugragi, is in a place, and I hope I'm not butchering my man's name, but Walid is in a place where if he doesn't win this competition, it feels like, or at least bare minimum make the final, there's a chance he may not be managing Morocco at the World Cup, despite getting them to the semifinal of the Qatar World Cup. So Cameroon have been impressive. They've played better than what their team on paper suggests that they should be doing. Obviously, you have Mbeumo, who's been very good. Kofan has been he's been a handful for a lot of defenses in the striker position. They're a team that you could theorize causes Morocco a lot of trouble and maybe pushes them maybe into added time, perhaps. But I think I'm going to lean towards the home team for now. I'm going to give them one more chance to impress me and play a game that I feel like is apropos, or what's the word I'm looking for? I'm going to give them a chance to give me a game that is deserving or worthy of their level, because I don't think they've played that game yet. Certainly not against a team of worthy a worthy opponent, and I think Cameroon is that. Algeria, Nigeria, Egypt, Ivory Coast, those games are tomorrow, but my early thoughts are Algeria won, Nigeria won, and it goes to penalties, and Algeria beat Nigeria on penalties. And Egypt, Ivory Coast, Egypt are another team that haven't really convinced me in that way. And Ivory Coast are a team that's playing exceptional. And I feel like their team is very, very well balanced. So my thoughts on that one are Ivory Coast 2, Egypt 1 after extra time. So it finishes 1-1, and then Ivory Coast find a way in those last 30 minutes to get a goal. So this has been Talking Tactics Daily. Again, we thank you for watching, for listening. Leave a comment, leave a like. It's YouTube. Why am I telling you guys what to do? You guys know exactly what to do on YouTube. Remember to listen. This is the one thing I'll give you. Listen to the actual podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. And I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.